Hello, this is John from caveofprogramming.com, and in this tutorial we're going to look at importing Java code into your JSP page so that you can use Java classes that you've coded separately to the JSP. Now, so far in this series of tutorials we looked at deploying applications, and we also looked at creating a very basic servlet, and servlets are basically Java programs that send HTML like this to the end user's browser via an application server such as Tomcat, and the browser then renders this as a web page. And we've also looked at a very basic JSP, and a JSP, Java Servlet page, is an HTML page with Java scriptlets embedded in it, and that page is then translated into a servlet by your application server, and then it just sends HTML to the end user's browser, the same as a servlet would. So we're going to look at exactly how a JSP is translated into a servlet, and I'm going to start on that road by showing you how to use an import statement within a JSP so that you can create a Java class and then use it in your JSP. So I've created a new little dynamic web project here, and I've just got this one JSP, and it's called index.jsp, so that it runs, well, it would run from a context root because I've still got my index set to that, set to index.jsp. So now we've already seen that you can embed Java code with scriptlet tags like this. So if I say here, let's put an equals sign to actually output a string, and say here, then I'm going to say something that evaluates to a string. So if I write new java.util.date, as we've seen already, if I run that, now we'll have the date on the servlet page, on the the servlet page, server page, sorry. Now how can we get rid of this java.util stuff, which is a bit ugly? And in fact, when you run one of these pages, stuff that you put between these kinds of tags, either with or without the equals, will end up in the doGet or the doPost method of the translated servlet. So we've already seen the doGet method, and any code that you add, any Java code, will be added to such a method before the servlet is actually run. So whatever we type here, it's going to end up in a method. So you can't define a new public class here, although you could define a class, for example, because in Java you can define classes within methods. Anyway, that's enough waffling. Let's take a look at some concrete examples here. If I want to include the java.util package, I can use a page directive, and a page directive applies to the whole JSP page, and it looks like this. I've got a angle bracket, and I've got these so I've got these scriptlet tags, but then here I need, after the opening percent, I need a @ sign like that, and then the word page, because it's a page directive. What Eclipse has decided to pause and have a think for some reason. Let's just give that a second. And now that's followed by the word page, because this is a page directive, and then you can use the import attribute to import Java packages. So I'm going to say import equals, and in here, in these speech marks, you can have a comma separated list of all the packages that you want to import following the usual Java syntax. So I could say import java.util.date, for example, or I could say java.util.star, and you can have as many of these import page directives as you like in your page. So let's get rid of this, and now I can say just new date, and if I run that, just tick this, click finish. There we go, so we've got the date. and you can use this to import your own classes. So let's go up to the Java resources folder here, and I'm going to right click and create a new class, and this is very important. I'm going to put the class in a package, but let's call this let's call it text output. Let's say I'm just making up a random name, and I'm going to put it in a package here which I'll just call GUI because I can't really think of a better name, so GUI is fine. And now let's give this text output some kind of useful method. So I'll say public string get info. So this is completely arbitrary, and I'm just going to here, just to do something really simple, I'm just going to say return, let's say return this is returned from an outside class. Actually, let's say this is returned from a method of a class in the GUI package. Okay, so just a really simple example, and of course you could have a class. There's nothing standard about this. You can have any kind of Java class here doing whatever you like, it doesn't matter. And I'm going to go back to my JSP now, and I can either now say comma, and I can import, for example, GUI.star, or I could just have another of these import directives, but I'll keep with this comma separated thing for the moment. And now let's create a bit more of a scriptlet here. So let's say here between, and you can have as many of these scriptlet tag pairs as you like as well. So let's just put some new lines in, and I'll say text output, text out equals new text output. And by the way, if you think that embedding Java in your page is a bit ugly, then we're going to look at another way of doing this using JSTL, the Java Server Page Standard Tag Library, later on in this series of tutorials, but we'll stick with this for a moment because it's very useful to know. And I'm going to say now, let's just say out.println and text out dot and I'll call that method that I just created, so like this. And now if I run that, we're going to see in a minute, let's take a look if I've got everything right, then we will see this stuff here that I returned from my class here. So this clearly is actually a very, very powerful mechanism. And you could, and this, by the way, is not a servlet. It doesn't extend HTTP servlet. It's just a completely arbitrary Java class that I'm then referencing within my JSP page. This is a very powerful mechanism, and you could have your class connect to a database, or you could do all kinds of things and then access your code here like this. So that's it for this tutorial, and in the next tutorial we're going to explore a bit further the capabilities, the things you can do with these scriptlet tags to really kind of mechanize your HTML. We're going to look at kind of using Java to script the HTML and generate HTML automatically, in a sense. So join me again next time, and until next time, happy coding.